What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Stranger Things Season 5 is upon us, guys. The 5th and final season. We'll see about that. I think there still will be at least spin-offs and everything. I think Season 5 proper will be done, but I think that they're going to do spin-offs.
Agreed. I don't think Netflix is ever going to just like let this like cash cow just like die.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones ended, then we had House of the Dragon, and then now we're getting another one. So I think it's going to keep on going. But we do have the final season of Stranger Things proper coming out on Wednesday, guys. So we are finally finishing up our seasons or our seasons reviews that we've been doing up on the channel. Very, very excited to tackle season 4, which is the most recent season that they did, which is hard to believe. And I just got to rant real quick because, you know, this show and so many other shows now, season 4 came out in 2022. And then now they aren't giving us this new season until 2025. And I do understand that the writer's strike happened at a certain point in time. So that was a part of it. The writers and actors strike, that was an effect. But that's still not an excuse for waiting that long, because this is ridiculous. Back in the day, Game of Thrones used to be able to do like a season per year, and it wasn't until the final season that they did this big gap and everything. And now shows continuously are doing a big gap between seasons, which is just kind of crazy.
But here's my question. When did season 4 end filming?
Season 4 ended filming like I don't know when it ended filming, but I know it premiered in 2022. I have to look on it.
Because I'm thinking COVID.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Do you think that COVID?
Well, no, COVID wouldn't have had anything to do with season 5.
No. I mean working on the season 5 stuff.
I don't think so, because if season 4 came out in 2022, that means they at least were starting to shoot it somewhere between 2020 2021. They were starting to kind of work on it. So I do think that there's another factor too. What's that?
You've got people like David Harbour in this thing and Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Who are only getting bigger.
Yeah, they are getting bigger. And
bigger and more jobs. Like David Harbour is working with Marvel. So it's kind of like it's kind of like they have to shoot around the schedule of a David Harbour.
That's true. So it's interesting, but we're not here to discuss their scheduling. That's something we can talk about a different day. Today, we are here to discuss what our thoughts are on season 4. And this came out in July of 2022, I believe. And this was something that I was really excited about because I heard that each episode was basically going to be the length of a feature film. And they lived up to that. I remember when David Benioff and D.B. Weiss said, "Oh, you are in for like movies with the final season of Game of Thrones." And then the final season of Game of Thrones came out, and not every single episode was feature length. I was just like, what is going on? I thought we were supposed to get like 6 movies. This one, they lived up to it, and they actually gave us basically 9 movies.
And we're basically getting something similar with season 5 as well, because at the end of the day, with season 5, there's literally only one episode under an hour.
Yeah. There's only one episode that's under an hour, which is at like 50. But even then, it's like 56 minutes, which is still a long episode of television.
So
But,
I'm like, if they can do that, then so can Disney Plus.
oh God! Don't even get me started on Disney Plus. Like, don't get me wrong. They make some great shows like Andor and such, but like the fact that we get these 30-minute something episodes of Marvel shows, and then it's 6 minutes of credits.
And then Stranger Things comes out and it said, hey, guess what? Like, if of those 8 episodes, 7 of them are gonna be over an hour and 5 minutes. It's like, oh my God,
Now we'll get into it. I do think it makes me excited for season 5 that they're kind of stepping it back a little, and not making every episode as long. Like the finale is not 2.5 hours long this time. I do think that the length of the episodes did kind of affect the quality, because I do think that there were scenes that kind of drug on, that they just kind of had to they're like, shoot, we have to make up for time, so let's just
I like
putting stuff in there.
Like in the not a spoiler, but in the last episode, they save the day, they do everything, and then I'm looking at the Netflix, and do you know what confuses me?
What?
There was still half an hour left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is there still a half hour left? And then of course, and if we got some very good stuff in that time, which we'll get to, but I'm like, you could have cut that down to like 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, I mean, they easily could have trimmed that down. So it's just, I don't personally understand it, but you know what? It's I guess what they want to do. So yeah, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to break this down episode by episode for you guys and go through them bit by bit, and basically then by the end just give you our overall conclusion on season 4. So starting with chapter 1, the Hellfire Club. Now this is a great, well, it's a good start. It kind of just sets up what the season's going to be, kind of, basically tells us where things are going to be going. And I really thought that, it was great getting introduced to Eddie, who's a new character in this episode. I love seeing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I loved Eddie, and the opening scene alone showed how something can be done correctly. Like, okay, season 1, we're seeing the laboratory. We're seeing 11 growing up, and we seeing like the incident that happened. Happened. So I'm like, wait. We can actually get a story where we learn more about 11 and the people of the facility.
Which I want to discuss that with you, because when we do our theories predictions, we might talk about a certain character that might be coming back. But did they in that scene retcon all the events of what happened with those new characters in season 2? Because if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that episode was kind of forgettable, I thought that those people there were supposed to be all of his experiments that he worked on and everything, and then basically this episode of season 4, I thought by killing all of them, basically just retconned it and said, oh, nope, that doesn't exist anymore. They all died. and it was just sort of
Maybe
like,
they
oh,
knew
okay.
how bad that episode was,
Yeah,
and said, how do we make which if they did do that, that makes the episode even worse
yeah,
because it's like, oh hey, they even retconned it at that point, you know. So I'm like, I want them to show up in season 5 so I can be like, oh my god, that was not a pointless episode, you know.
yeah. Because people have been talking about 8 returning for season 5 at least, which is at least it's one of the characters. But people thought like 8 maybe might come back for it, and there's been hints, and we'll talk about it actually in this either in this episode or another episode. Is this the episode where they actually play the D&D campaign, or is that episode 2?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was in this very episode where apparently Dustin rolls an 11, and then that's not enough to take down Vecna, because Vecna is introduced as like the new D&D boss.
Yes,
And,
I had no clue. I completely forgot that Vecna was the villain in the D&D game and of the season.
yeah, which is great. And then also after that, Mike rolls an 8, and then the 8 was not enough, and then Erica rolls a 20, and people have been theorizing that since they introduced Vecna as the D&D campaign guy, they rolled an 11, but then 11 wasn't enough. They rolled an 8, and then both of them weren't enough, but then everyone else together was enough to stop Vecna. And I think that's people have been saying that's foreshadowing. And
that would completely make sense. And we also get another interesting thing in this episode.
What's that?
And it starts with 11, who is in her new home with Will, and with Will, Joyce, Jonathan, and our favorite character shows up with your favorite name of the whole series, Argyle.
Argyle. Oh God, yeah. What's up, my dudes? Yeah.
And then Will is working on something. And 11 goes, he won't let me see it. Must be for a girl or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, and I'm like, was that in the season 1 episode? Was at that point, did we kind of have a theorize about Will being in the LGBTQ plus?
I mean, yeah, that's basically hinted at in this episode, and then it's confirmed once we get to it later in the episode where Will is basically confessing his feelings for Mike, but Mike doesn't feel the same, and you see him crying, and it's like really emotional and sad. But
and speaking of characters not being retconned, guess who isn't retconned in this episode?
Who?
Susie.
That's true. Susie is not retconned here. So
Susie comes back very nice, and she'll come in later on too, even. So and then of course if we see everybody, of course we get that great Robin and Steve banter. I will never get sick of their. This is the boobies episode.
Everyone loves boobies.
Yes, exactly. And
they all do love boobies.
And then we see, in my opinion, what the heart of the season is.
What's that?
And that is we see Max.
Yeah, Max became my second favorite character, or third favorite character of the whole show. Probably third, honestly. But like maybe third favorite character of the whole show after this season alone. I thought her story was phenomenal this season.
her story, like 80% of the season, I loved everything involving Max is something I loved.
Yeah.
Like I'm like absolutely no issues. I don't have any issues with this plot whatsoever. It is my favorite plot in the show.
Same. And we'll get to it, but the Dear Billy episode is might be my favorite Stranger Things episode in general when it comes to Stranger Things.
And then we meet the bittersweet moment where we see Chrissy for the first time.
Chrissy, wake up!
I don't like this. Chrissy, wake up!
That's like the song.
Yes, and I believe that happens in episode 1. I thought that later on, and if we also see the bitter, so it's very bittersweet seeing her, and then we see her basketball playing boyfriend, and then if we meet Lucas, who I am going to say this right now, Lucas grew on me this season. I was not a fan of him at the start of the season.
Yeah. Him trying to fit in with the bully and the jock and all these other bad boys, just kind of like, come on, Lucas.
What bothered me is he's trying to get like Eddie, and he's trying to get them to move the D&D game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm with Eddie. I'm like, wouldn't it be easier to just run to substitution?
True. No, I mean, I think that would be easy. But they do find a really great substitute with Erica Sinclair, which you know I was not a fan of Erica at all in season 3. She annoyed the ever-living shit out of me. If I was allowed to punch a child and a little girl child, I would have punched the fuck out of Erica. But I couldn't do that. I would have
punched the fuck out of Nessa Rose, as I was talking about yesterday.
That's true. But it's like, I would have done that to Erica Sinclair, but I would not have done that to this version of Erica Sinclair. I thought she was actually more fun in this season, and they did her character much better than they did in season 3. So,
and then as we see with this episode, we actually get to see Chrissy like dealing with her trauma. If we see a creepy moment involving Chrissy.
Speaking of creepy moment, you know what the creepiest moment of this episode is?
What?
Now, something is blocking his dick, which thank God, because it is it's a family-friendly show. But we get naked Murray in this episode, and that is the most terrifying thing I think we have seen on this whole show besides Will's haircut. It's like those are the two things that are the most terrifying thing we have seen in Stranger Things.
And we also see the introduction of Eddie, and my God, Eddie has such a good introduction. Like,
oh yeah,
like Eddie's introduction is insanely good.
It is. He looks like a young Robert Downey Jr., which is kind of insane. Like it's uncanny how much he looks like him. But yeah, he's really great. And we also get kind of a great introduction to like Vecna's abilities and what he can do, and the whole clock chiming and all the crazy just levitation and just the body like body horror elements of the season. And this is definitely the darkest, most brutal season we've had.
Yes.
Because there is some horror in this season for sure.
But you're forgetting the most important story element introduced to this episode.
What was that?
What's happening with Nancy and I legit come on here. She's not coming to see you because she gets that you're boring. Because this season,
God,
Jonathan is like,
he's literally just gets high and then like listens to music, and that's all he does the whole season.
there is one moment in this season, I actually put it on here, that I actually really like Jonathan at one part.
Oh yeah, is it at the end when he's talking to Will?
Yeah. Yeah. And as I think about it, but I'm like, wait, season 1 and season 2 had loads of those moments, you know?
Oh yeah.
But
Still,
now
they're
it's like,
still my
hey,
two favorite seasons. But yeah, but
one conversation.
but this one, it's just like we have to wait until the finale to get that stuff, and we'll get to it eventually. But like, whenever we get to even the Russia stuff, we find like we don't get an actual good resolution to that until the finale. So it's like that seems to happen a lot with the season, where it's like all the issues we have resolves itself in the finale, but it's like that's a long wait, you know.
And we also meet this season my least favorite character in all of Stranger Things.
We get to meet both the bullies. This
Angela. I despised this character.
Yeah.
Like she felt like so much more mean and vicious than the other bullies. Like season 1 bullies, they were kids. They were stupid. They were They were like silly. They were like, they were like Beavis and Butthead as bullies, you know. But this is like, I hate this character.
Oh yeah, I do too.
And then we also see
she was an absolutely just
awful.
awful character. So,
and then we get Joyce getting the dolls.
Yeah, Joyce getting the doll, and then we find out that there was a message in there that says that Hopper is still alive, which is, we all expected that, but it was fun to actually see it play out in this episode.
And there was one nice callback in this episode too.
What was that?
When Tammy Thompson came back.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
I was like, oh yay, she's the character from last season that they were talking about. Yay.
Yeah, Tammy Thompson, but boy, is she not going to be on American Idol. She did not have a good singing voice at all. It was definitely not the best there, but yeah, I also really I loved. I do like seeing all the kids in high school this season and seeing them kind of go through that change of going from the school that they were in, like middle school, to transitioning over to high school. And I thought that for 11, the angstiness of 11 gets on my nerves this season, not gonna lie. Like, she gets a little bit over angsty, that it's just like, okay, I get it. You're a bratty, annoying teenager, but this is too much. And you see her trying to navigate through school, but like, we'll talk about it later, but the fact she lies to Mike, I have a big issue with that and everything. But yeah.
Yes. And I love the montage of the D&D game with the basketball game.
Yes, and I loved also whatever Eddie was like, talking to Erica, he was like saying, no way can she join all that stuff. And then she's like, makes that remark about D&D. And then he's just like, welcome to Hellfire. And then holds out his hand and everything. Because it's just like she earned his respect. You know?
Yes. And also in this episode, another bittersweet thing about this episode, we genuinely see a connection with Chrissy and Eddie.
Yeah.
Like if they had both been around this whole season, there would have been a love triangle. I'm calling it right now.
Oh yeah. There probably would have actually been one there. And also we do get an introduction as well to, I will look up his name because I don't know the character's name by heart, but we get an introduction to another character I later cannot stand this season, and that is the male bully, which is, you know, the jock or guy or whatever who Chrissy also was kind of into. Jason Carver was his name.
I actually even though I didn't like his character, I did understand him more this time around.
I mean, I kind of didn't. You literally see something completely supernatural floating up in the air, and then your buddy just completely getting killed brutally, and you think that a person who was swimming in the water trying to swim away from you did it? Like, what the hell? Like,
but this is weird. This is the 80s, like where if we're like D&D, Satanism, Satan was still like more like big, so something like that would make sense. Basically the end of this episode happened where Chrissy goes to get some stuff from Eddie.
Mm-hmm. And then the meme was born. I actually got to meet the Chrissy actress, the actress who plays Chrissy in Stranger Things. I got to meet her at a convention, and when I first met her, I was in line waiting, and I just started randomly shouting. I was like, "Chrissy, wake up!" And then she literally was like, "I don't like it." And all that stuff, and she like shouted that at me, and I was like, "Oh, it's super cool." So
yes, and then if we get to, and then that's how it ends on that cliffhanger of her being dead.
Of her being like brutally dead. Which
yes.
I just have to say, because the Duffer Brothers have said that apparently while season 4 they said is overall more brutal, they said season 5 is going to have the most brutal individual death scene that they have ever done on Stranger Things. So
I wonder who it's going to be.
Yeah, I wonder who it's going to be too. Once we do our theories predictions, I have a theory on who I think it's going to be. But it'll be interesting to discuss that. But yeah, that's like kind of insane that they can get more brutal than this. Now on to episode 2, and I want to point out first that some of the edits in this episode were insane. With the briefcase, there was like a briefcase scene that was like where it was like opening, and then the camera was also like spinning at the same time. It was very wild. I was just like, whoa, what? It was kind of trippy. And also the soundtrack this season was absolute banger because we had Running Up That Hill in the first episode, and then this episode we get Psycho Killer. Say I love that. I love that song so much from Talking Heads. So yeah.
And we finally see. I just have Hopper is the Loki of the Stranger Things universe.
The Loki of the Stranger Things universe.
Yes. He's not actually dead. You see?
Oh, yeah. Basically, yeah. They'd be at actual confirmation that Hopper is alive this episode.
And then, and then,
but seeing him get, but seeing Hopper get tortured though was pretty rough. Not gonna lie.
Yes, we see, and I do like that we actually got to see what happened to Hopper, and it wasn't like he was taken off screen kind of a thing.
Yeah,
we actually did see what happened to him, so I have to say, so I do have to give that. I have to give credit to that.
I agree.
And then cut back to there, and if we see the cops at Eddie's place, and I've just not gone here. Usually I'm against cops jumping to conclusions, but I do understand in this situation, like, so this girl was last seen at this man's RV, like, I'm gonna admit, Eddie looks suspicious as fuck at the start of this episode. Like, if you didn't know about Vecna or anything, he is incredibly suspicious. And that happens a bunch of times in the show. Like where four characters do something, but they're innocent, but they literally do things that make them look more suspicious.
Yeah, unfortunately, and then that's just kind of crazy. But
yes, and
speaking of characters who are suspicious, we get kind of our first discussion into the Victor Creel character, and how all of that started, which later leads into the Vecna storyline. But
yes, and something weird happens, which sums up my, like, I said 80%, 80 to 85% of the season is really, like, great, but this next thing sums up the 15% that I don't like.
What's that?
We go from that scene for Eddie is being interrogated, they think he did it, yada, 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 to, Mike is going to visit 11, yay!
Yeah. A big issue with this season is how they jump back and forth between people, and it's worse this season than past seasons because, I get it. Like in season 1, you have Joyce and Hopper in the Upside Down, while you also have Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve trying to fight the Demogorgon, and then you have the kids. But that's only 3 separate plot lines. In this one, they are like, let's have a separate plot line with Hopper. Let's have a separate plot line with Joyce and Murray. Let's have a separate plot line with the kids. Let's have a separate plot line with the teenagers. Let's have a separate plot line with Eddie. Let's have a separate plot line. All these, it's just like they jump back and forth between all these different separate plot lines. And then 11, she has her own separate plot line later. And it's just like, that's like 7 separate plot lines that they're trying to do. And it just gets overdone, in my opinion, in terms of just like how many plot lines they're trying to shove into one season.
And then we go from that to Robin's love life stuff, which that sounds boring, but for some reason I was invested in it. It could be because Robin is like one of my favorite characters in the show. But then if we get a scene that confused me, we see Lucas saying, "I'd rather hang out with these cool guys than those losers, that he used to hang out with." And what gets me is I'm confused. I'm like, wait, these guys are cooler? Like, I think Dustin is cooler than those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Dustin is way cooler.
Like, I would rather hang out with Mike Will, 11, Justin, Lucas, all those guys than those basketball guys. And I'm like, how are they cooler?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're cooler, and it's like unfortunate because Lucas, he was so close to the original gang of kids, but then he just wants to kind of fit in and be popular that he doesn't really think that they're cool. I'm like, dude, to me, D&D is way cooler than basketball. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just gotta throw it out there.
And then if we see everybody fighting on the Linux in different ways. But then we get one of our first big suspicious scenes of the whole movie. Eddie literally runs away from the crime scene.
That's true. Like, him running away from the crime scene made him look far more guilty.
And I'm like, dude, that makes you far more guilty. Like if you're innocent, say, hey, I'm gonna play ball with you guys. I'm innocent, ask me anything, And then if we have Joyce and Murray talking about the code and everything, and then Hopper and
which their plot line annoys me this season because you have the whole kind of thing of them trying to say, oh, let's of like Murray and Joyce like having dinner together, and he's at her house, he's like cooking her dinner or whatever. It's just like, what is going on? Why are we doing this? Like, this is just kind of odd.
I think he was doing that because she didn't want to draw attention to the fact that they were on this secret mission away.
But would Joyce also be the kind of person, though, to like lie straight up to her kids' faces? Like, I just don't see that being Joyce. It's just very odd.
But again, we haven't seen a lot of her times where she would have had to do that.
Yeah, I guess not. But I know she would never want to willingly leave Will, because Will just, he still has been through a ton of shit. So I don't know. It's like,
and then we see Hopper being tortured, and then back to the 11 storyline.
We see 11 getting bullied a bunch and
for apparently snitching, even though she didn't say a single fucking word.
Yeah. And I will say 11 does take things a bit too far when she takes the actual blade of the roller skate and hits Angela and makes her start bleeding everywhere.
But I am going to say one thing in 11's defense.
What?
Do you remember what Hopper did last season?
Well, yeah, but also
father, daughter.
We didn't like what Hopper did last season either. So,
but at the end of the day, like father, like daughter.
Yeah, that's true. She definitely has the Hopper kind of feistiness in her for sure.
And then if we see the fun scene, the part where I really understood for the lead of the football, for the basketball guy.
Oh,
where he first finds out, and he's putting 2 and 2 together, saying, "Wait a minute, that freak Eddie Munson was the last person to be seen with her, So, at the end of the day, it doesn't take an Einstein to say, maybe there's something here.
And I think that with the character, it's not just the fact that he thinks Eddie Munson's a freak. I think part of him deep down, and you get this kind of in the finale, I think in his face, you can see it in the finale, but like deep down, I feel like he knows that she was actually there because she liked Eddie, and that hurts him, and that he kind of wants to retaliate because of that, you know.
And then if we find out another important piece of information, Jonathan is lying about where he's gonna go to college.
And he's getting high with Argyle.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Nancy, being the badass reporter that she is, investigating things.
Yeah, and then we get an introduction to this character named Fred, another new character that the Duffers decide to kill off, unfortunately.
And then, weird enough, like she interrogates Eddie's uncle. Is he Southern? Like, he has some sort of an accent.
Yeah, I think he is. That's what I kind of was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he was like Southern.
And this is where we get the Victor Creel backstory knowledge.
Yeah, this is where we start getting some more stuff about Victor Creel. This is also where I think this is where we get to see. No, we got to see Vecna in full in that first episode. I forgot, but he does a really great job with this role. We get to see him kill, do another kill in a very brutal way. So,
and then we see in the Mike and 11 storyline, we see Mike being really shitty to Will.
Yeah, which is just, which is kind of a bummer. But also, I've been trying to see people say that, like, make a excuse, like saying, "Oh, you know, deep down, Mike actually does have romantic feelings for Will, and he just doesn't want to express his sexuality, and that's why he is treating Will so like mean in this season, and that in the finale people are predicting that Mike will die, and then he'll, like, as he's dying, he'll like confess his feelings to Will or something like that.
And we actually see in this episode my personal favorite way to give backstory, which is like for Steve, Nancy, Dustin, and Max all find Eddie. And Dustin is giving him the backstory about 11 and the world of Hawkins and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Eddie is a new character. He wouldn't know what's going on. So this is a way to give the information to the audience in a way that it doesn't feel like, okay, they're gonna explain to us like we're stupid.
And also he is somebody who winds up believing the people rather than just, you know, saying like, oh, this is bullshit, like far from the truth. Like, why are you even telling me this type of deal? So
and that is the ending of episode 3. That is how episode 3 ends. And with Eddie learning about the backstory of 11, the Upside Down, and the world.
Oh yeah, and then or is that episode 2?
Episode 2, I meant to say.
Yeah, you're right. Episode 3 is titled "The Monster and the Superhero," and this is one where we start to get into a plot line that I really don't dislike this season, which is Murray and Joyce flying to Alaska. Yay!
Because it doesn't start there yet. It starts with the phone call and it's like, oh yes, and they won't tell, and they won't let him talk to Hopper, so they're like, fine, we have to go find him,
Yeah.
because if he's still alive, we have to go find him. And then we have 11 feeling like she doesn't belong here anymore because she still feels weird, but she doesn't even have her powers anymore.
But also, like, 11 really bugs me this season because more than ever, I just gotta say, she gave my boy Hopper absolute shit in season 2 because she was like, friends don't lie, okay? Friends do not lie. And she gave my boy Hopper absolute shit for that. Yet, she completely lies to Mike. And it's just like, then you are like a hypocrite, 11, because you kept on like preaching. You're the one that preaches much more than Mike ever did of friends don't lie, friends don't lie, friends don't lie. And here you are just lying straight up to Mike. You aren't being truthful to him when you're trying to talk, like you said, oh, everything's great with me. I'm not being bullied. Everything is just fine and dandy. And it's like, that is not the case. What the hell? Okay.
And then we do see Mike trying to help 11. And honestly, I am going to give Mike this. Still not my favorite character this season, but he's better in this season than he was in season 3 or 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. He was better than he's been in past seasons before in this season for sure.
Like, season 1 is still Mike at his best, in my opinion, was season 1.
Yeah.
But I do not see season 5 really coming out and being like, well, we're going to bring it back to that,
Yeah.
So I think season 1 for Mike is always going to be my favorite. Kind of like how season 1 Steve will always be my least favorite. And I'm gonna say this. Even though I love Steve this season, season 3 Steve will always be my favorite Steve.
We will get to it. I know you're gonna disagree. Steve is my second favorite character of this show. I really love Steve. But I felt in this season his time was up. I'm sorry. Like, he should have been, because the thing is that you're introducing Vecna in this season. You should have killed off a major character this season and then had season 5 come out and then more big characters die, but you kill off a major character and then people would be like, oh shit, Vecna means business. Holy shit. And
I feel like Eddie was that, but again
though, it's still like doesn't count though, because it's just like them introducing us to a character that season to kill off that. It's just Bob all over again. And it's like, okay, they kill off the new guy, But yeah. Like, I mean, like they need to kill off a season 1 character. If we go this entire show and they never kill off any season 1 character, and I mean a character that was introduced to us from the very first season. If we go this whole show and they don't do that, then there's something wrong. So,
in this episode, we also get a great duo in this episode.
Yeah, we do.
Nancy and Robin.
Nancy and Robin, yeah. Their team up, their duo, which is one of the best kind of duos that you could get here with this.
duos that
It's pretty fun.
it's something that like if you didn't know that you wanted until you got it, kind of a thing.
I know, right?
Like I was not asking for this, but okay, and you're like, whoa, this is great. Like, why wasn't I thinking this before?
True. And then this was also, we go back to Russia in this episode, and Hopper finds a way to escape, and so he's trying to come up with this elaborate plan to get out of his shackles and and escape the Russian prison. But things definitely don't go well. And then also we see that Max is cursed by Vecna.
Yes, and something else happens this season. But when confronted about the whole incident with the Blade with 11 and everything,
Oh yeah.
just like Eddie, 11 makes herself look more suspicious.
Exactly. It's just like, come on. And isn't this this is the episode where they arrest 11? It's just like, come on. Like, you're just going to give yourself up like that? Like, it just makes it seem way more suspicious. I agree.
And then the government shows up, and it brought up a good point. Would you rather be taken in juvie or be taken by the government? Like, which one is worse?
Oh, that's a good question.
And then we get the I am going to say one thing that has happened a lot this season that I do not think is going to happen, that they're really trying to push.
What?
I do not see that Nancy and Steve getting back together.
You don't see Nancy and Steve getting back together?
No,
because
more happening.
They call them Stancy, and the reason I don't see Steve and Nancy getting back together is because once we get to our theories video, I think one of them is going to die. At least either Steve or Nancy. I think one of them is going to die.
And I also see Nancy as somebody who would preferably, if you know what I would prefer to see her do?
What?
Say, I do not need a relationship right now. I want to pursue my career and have my own life.
Yeah.
I'm like, that would make more sense than her hooking up with Steve again.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't be upset if she did. If they did that, I wouldn't be upset. But it's not like an irritating thing. I just don't.
No, it would be very mature of her to just not pick any of them, and I think that she is a mature person, so I think that's possible.
And then they have to go back. And then the kids have to go back to the school for something.
Yeah.
For something in this episode. And then cut to the L11 being taken in by the government, the doctor guy. And then finding out that what I have on here is Hawkins is in seasonal danger.
Hawkins is in what danger?
It's seasonal danger.
Oh yeah, seasonal danger, basically.
Every season, it's in danger. Oh, it's in danger. Oh, it's in danger.
Yeah, but they actually managed to actually leave Hawkins this time. Once we get to that, but yeah, it's kind of.
And then if we get the twist that even though 11 lost their powers, there may be a way of her getting them back.
Yeah, and also I do want to say that even though we've gotten like, we get stuff with Hawkins this season, the reason I think the divide of all the characters doesn't work as well this season is because you get some characters who are in a whole nother state, and then you get a character in Russia, you get characters which is a whole nother country, and then you get a whole nother, like, it's all this type of stuff. It's just like, that's a bit too much. But yeah, then we
Then,
yeah, what were you gonna say?
then at the school we see the clocks again, which I'm gonna say this: clocks much scarier than magnets.
Oh, for sure.
And also because here's the thing, the clocks are a sign of Vecna. So
There's a lot of like Nightmare on Elm Street type of imagery here too, which is cool.
and then if we get the Lucas jump scare, and then if we do get the moment that I do not like Erica for the basketball guy goes to her house.
Oh yeah,
Basically tells everything.
yeah. That was a bit. That's the scene where I really didn't like the basketball guy. I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Come on. That's like,
and then we see Robin coming down, and she's wearing a cup dress.
she's just like, that is totally not her vibe, which is really funny.
Mm-hmm. And I just love it to see the scene where her, Steve, and Robin are in her room, and Robin is just like fascinated by everything, and I'm like, this is so cute. I love it.
It is cute, yeah.
And then we see the Russians making small talk because they're in Russia.
Yeah, we get too much with the Russian stuff.
Yes. Then cut back to Mike and all of them are now being watched by government officials, who one of them is literally falling asleep watching golf, and I just realized, is golf the number one like go-to thing in movies for somebody to fall asleep to?
I mean, I fall asleep to it, so might as well
Yes.
be, right? Yeah. So
and then they want pizza. And then Argyle answers the phone. Biggest opening in company history.
oh yeah.
Instead, it's like, no, hey, welcome here, what would you like? You know, he literally goes on for like 1 minute.
That's crazy. Yeah, yeah.
And surprisingly, you know how I said I prefer Steve in season 3?
Yeah.
I prefer Robin in season 4.
Oh, yeah. I can see it. I can see that. She definitely. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because like Steve, he's good this season, but like, I felt like they could have killed him off this season if they wanted to, because it almost feels like he's done everything. Like this, like his story is over. Like his story was done, and it feels like they could have done something like that. Because there's still much more to do with Robin, but with Steve, it doesn't really feel like there's much more to do with him. You know,
I feel like Steve needs to do one more thing.
What?
He needs to die protecting Jonathan, the man that he bullied.
Yeah.
In season 1. If he does that, that is going to be his hero's exit.
Yeah. I think,
protecting the man that
which
he
a lot
punched.
of people are theorizing could happen. So we'll see.
Yes. And then we get back in Russia, where the Russians are really dumb because there's a whole fight scene with Hopper and that Russian guy.
Yeah.
So many times, like, the Russian guy should have seen that coming, but he didn't. And all the Russians are like trying to get into the shed place. It felt like a Three Stooges cartoon portrayal of Russians at that moment.
Yeah, kind of crazy. And
then
uh,
Max.
Oh wait, what about Max?
Goes back to the house to like see her mom and like get the letter.
You find out.
Imagine being a parent just having your child say that.
Yeah, and you find out that Vecna, that wasn't actually her mom. That was Vecna, messing with her and trying to get into her mind, and and I guess Vecna he must just hate gingers because Barb and then now Max. Come on. What do you have against gingers, Vecna?
And also in this episode, you see Robin and Nancy going to the prison to hear the backstory of Creel.
Yes, but do we actually get Creel this episode, or is that the next episode? I think it's the next episode that we actually get like actually Robert Englund, and which was really cool to see him pop up in the show and everything. And we get a bunch of other stuff. We can transition on over to episode 4 if you're
episode
ready for that.
No. This is episode. This is episode 4.
Oh, this is episode 4. Oh, okay. I thought we were still on episode 3. All right.
And of course we get the scene at the graveyard, the running up that hill scene.
Yeah, running up that hill scene, which was that just really powerful and profound scene of Max kind of confronting all of her demons. And I thought that her message that she gave to Billy at like his grave was really emotional and really really profound as well. And yeah, I loved talking about Robert Englund. It was cool seeing him pop up this season because there definitely was some elements of Nightmare on Elm Street in this show, and so you got to see him pop up in this episode, and that was really cool.
And then if we get to Stranger Things episode 5, we see because I forgot to add in episode 4 at Mike's house, literally gunmen come in and are shooting at everybody.
Kind of insane.
Like government conspiracy is literally happening in this season, and they take this official into the van, and I'm just sitting there thinking, do people know this guy was shot, or just look like they're getting up to government official?
Yeah.
And then if we see 11 being brought by car to this facility by the doctor, and then we see dun dun dun, Papa is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually get the reveal that Papa lived. I will say, I wish they would actually have explained it they literally just show Pop as alive, and there's absolutely zero explanation, not even a single utter as to how he lived. And when a Demogorgon literally attacked him, sure, the Demogorgon may not have killed him, but you never even got a mention as to how he lived from that Demogorgon. Like, I would have at least loved to have seen a flashback of maybe you see the Demogorgon in the flashback, attacking him, like biting him and all this stuff, and then maybe someone walks up to the Demogorgon and like shoots it or something, and then it runs off or something.
Yes.
I don't know. I would have liked that, but nothing.
And after that dramatic reveal, do you know what time it is?
What?
To go back to Russia.
And see, that's the thing. The cuts between these plot lines are all during the worst times, because you get this Papa reveal, and then it's like, oh, this is now cut to Russia, a plot line that you're not going to care about. It's just like, okay, really? Like, it feels almost like whenever they put in that episode that we didn't like in season 2, where it's like they placed it at just such a bad time of the episode or of the season, it feels almost the same way.
It doesn't feel as bad for me, only because we're getting those other plot lines in this episode too.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, we're gonna have a whole episode in Russia.
God, that would have been. Oh my God! Could you imagine if they would have done that? Jeez.
And then cut back to the house, but where everybody's at the Wheeler's house, even though Mike is not there, and I'm wondering, do the Wheelers know what's going on with Max?
Yeah, I don't think they do.
And like I forget what they do here, but they do something smart because they have their geniuses sometimes. But
yeah,
I forget what they did.
Yeah, I forget. I forget 100% too. It was a while ago, but we can move past that part. But
and then we get the mind trip scene of I've been trying to get out of her fantasy, but always being brought back in.
True. And then we get Mike and the whole gang trying to figure out how, like, where they need to bury this this body of this like government person, because they have a dead man in the back of their car, so they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And that plot line kind of starts to kind of meander a bit.
And
yeah.
And then we actually get a good scene in Russia where it's just Hopper talking and giving more of his backstory.
But again, is that really a good scene? Because it's stuff that like we already heard. It's sort of like, why are you telling us what we've already heard like countless times? We know you lost a daughter. We know all this stuff about all this. Like, why are you telling us this?
I felt like we learned more about it.
And then it's just all like, I just want to be mopey and share a scene for like 3 minutes. And it's just like, God damn. 3 whole minutes of like just what we've heard before? Okay.
And I have one question about the Russia thing. How much do you think Peanut Butter paid to be a part of the show this season?
I know, but also at the same time, the way Hopper devours that peanut butter in this episode, I do the exact same shit to peanut butter. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, like it is. Like I would just eat a jar of peanut butter.
Yes.
So good.
And then we get the scene that we're talking about with the basketball guy, where he starts saying, "Ooh, the satanic, like D&D is satanic."
Yeah. And and back in the 80s, they did think D&D was satanic, so it kind of ties into the beliefs of that time period. And
Yes. Yes.
but
And
crazy.
if we also see how with the Mike storyline, how it's kind of like, oh, we have to go find Susie because they find a number.
Yeah.
And they try to decode it, and they know that Susie would know how to.
Yeah, that Susie would definitely have the smarts for that, because she's dating someone as smart as Dusty Bun, and also this is the episode where we get Susie in there, right? Or is that like the next episode?
I think that's episode 6.
Okay.
And
yeah.
But if we do see them go to the Creel house.
Oh yeah, this is like us getting the actual Creel house kind of introduction, if you will.
Yes.
Which is nice.
And I've got to admit, I have on here, Lucas at this point is becoming a lot more like, I'm really starting to like you more now.
Yeah.
We're seeing his chemistry with Max again. And guess what time it is, Michael?
What?
Time to go back to Russia.
Yeah.
Before they're in the airplane, and
this is where right here is where the Murray and Joyce plotline starts to get really annoying, is because they get introduced to this to Yuri, I think was his name. Mm-hmm. And Yuri is he is the fucking Jar Jar Binks of this show. I want to punch him in the face so bad. Like, he is so annoying. I cannot stand Yuri. And it's just like, that's just made every scene with Joyce and Murray just even harder to watch. So yeah.
Okay, and this is the scene where the football was. After that is where the basketball guys are chasing after Eddie, who's in the boat, and then the other guy ends up dying.
Yeah.
And that is how they end episode 5. So we are now on episode 6,
which is titled The Dive. And
it literally starts off with them being like, Eddie is a vehicle for the devil.
Yeah. And they're like at a rally. He's at like a rally trying to rally up all these people to basically,
like a town meeting,
like a town hall meeting thing, to basically make everyone believe that Eddie is some awful, evil person that is tempted by the devil, and that the whole Hellfire Club is all one big cult. So like Lucas, Erica, all of them is what their beliefs are with this.
And we're fine, and we also get introduced to something else, because the more time we get to spend with Papa and everything, the more we see, even though he's definitely a shitty human being, how much he clearly loves Eleven.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like that's the thing that makes his relationship so complex with her because obviously what he's doing with her is terrible, but at the same time he literally does take a bullet for her this season and it's just really like interesting.
And okay, and then we meet Susie's family. And honestly, I wish you got more spend more time with them than the Russians.
Yeah, I wish so.
So as soon as you get the address, it's an address. Then it's back to Russia, where we get one of the worst edited scenes, in my opinion of the show.
Oh, really? Which one's that?
All the Russians are around the dinner table, and they're eating like very sloppy. We're getting close-ups of these Russians eating sloppily. And I'm like, do we really need to see that?
No, we do not. Which is just, yeah, that's just really. We do not need to see it. That was just really stupid.
Then when they cut back to 11, I finally remembered something.
What'd you remember?
Because the whole thing that confused me is I'm like, why are they calling her Jane this whole time? Like why not Elle or Ellie or something? Then I remember Jane is what her mom called her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That actually makes a lot more sense now.
Which I'm hearing a theory or like a fake leak. I don't know if the leak is true. You know how things are. That like there's going to be a plot line in season 5 that Jane is actually like the mother reincarnated, that like they put their brain into a child or something and have been trying to test the mom or something, and it's just like it's gonna be her reincarnated. It's gonna have to be really weird, but we'll see. Yeah.
And then funny enough, in Russia, in Russia, we get one of these really stupid lines, but it makes me laugh.
What's
Murray
that?
opens this package and he's like, Jesus, and you're like, hey, we're in a church. And I'm like, and for some reason, I'm like, that is so dumb, but it makes me laugh.
Yeah, that was a really dumb line. Some of the jokes in here land, but then a lot of the jokes don't. Especially stuff with like Yuri and Murray and everything. It's like sometimes hit or miss, but yeah.
And then they got in the boat, and then comes the whole Skull Rock thing where they're meeting Eddie, and Dustin realizes, oh shit, the compass is acting funky. And they're there, and he's like, oh, a magnetic field must be around here, which brings them to Lover's Lake. Half of them go in the boat, half of them don't.
Yeah. And then we get that great scene with Max where they're all trying to look at them in the binoculars, and then she's like, "Can I see?" And then Lucas hands the binoculars to Max, and she's just like, just keeps on staring at Steve shirtless with the binoculars. And he's just sort of like, "Oh, what? How did you do that?" That was a great scene.
And I love the pun that they use in here.
The what?
Operation Watergate.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That'd probably be a very good pun, because I believe that was like the 80s where the Watergate scandal happened politically. So
and I loved it about Dustin was like earlier he was all like, no, they wouldn't be that stupid to
yes,
die in that gate with us. And
that's in episode 7.
Oh, that's in episode. Oh, okay. I thought We were still on. Oh yeah, I thought we moved
And
on.
then it ends with Steve being pulled into the Watergate.
Yeah, and that was kind of intense. We saw Steve got attacked. He was getting bit everywhere. He's getting choked. We're like, no, Steve. What a terrible cliffhanger to end on, because we all thought Steve was going to be like biting the dust that episode. And man, that would have been tragic. But yeah, then we move on to episode 7, which, fun fact, this episode, chapter 7, The Massacre at Hawkins Lab, is the #1 highest rated Stranger Things episode of all time. This is on IMDb. The episode itself has a 9.6 out of 10 average from 48,445 reviews. So
I bet you it's because of the Victor Creel stuff or the Henry Creel.
Probably, yeah. That's more than likely because of all the Henry Creel / Victor Creel stuff and the introduction of him as one we get in this episode, where we see he has the one tattooed to him and everything and all that. So it's kind of, we get the introduction that he was the very first test subject of Dr. Brenner. So
And that speech that he gave up a very Thanos vibe to me. Like,
yeah,
where he's like, it's society, society, I need to fix things, and I'm like, that feels like Thanos.
he's the best. Yeah, he's the best kind of villain because he's what thinks he's doing. He thinks he's doing right by the world, but he's not. And I love those kind of villains. And that's another reason why I got so mad that they didn't kill any of the major characters off this season, because you're right. This is basically Thanos. And Thanos killed off some pretty major characters in Infinity War. It's just like, so I don't know why they think it was a good idea to just not have any of the major characters die in season 4. I was just like, okay, that was really dumb. But it is what it is.
Agreed. So and then I have and then Steve goes in and everybody and the other people go in to help Steve to help Steve and then come and then comes to me a very interesting idea where with the 11 storyline, Papa literally gives Elle the option to leave and she decides not to.
Yeah, which I thought was definitely an odd choice, but hey, if Elle was able to be here, she'd probably explain to me why she chose that.
And then the kids are being interrogated by the police. And then you have Erica over there just telling the truth.
Yeah. Erica's over there trying to tell them the truth, but they're not gonna listen to actual reason until they see it for themselves. So
yes, yeah. and then we go back to everybody's favorite place, Russia, where Hopper is fighting those Demogorgon things.
Yeah, where he's actually having a battle with the Demogorgon in this episode.
Yes, and also there's a very coincidental thing that happens here. Murray just happens to look like Yuri.
I know, right? Yeah, it's really funny. So it's like they, so he like kind of shaves his beard down, grooms it or something, and makes himself look a bit more like Yuri, and then is able to sneak past the gates to get into this Russian prison.
And
And then you get that scene I was talking about where Dustin is all like, they wouldn't be stupid enough to go into the gate. He's like, you know when I said they weren't going to be stupid in the gate? They were. And then he finds out, and then you find out like they're able to communicate with each other, through the lights, like what Joyce did, which was great.
And I love how they use the light brights instead of Christmas lights again.
Yeah, I like that too.
And we also get that very sweet moment of Eddie and Steve talking.
Yeah, that was really nice too.
And if we have the kids again running away from the police in this episode.
Yeah.
Making themselves look more and more suspicious.
Yeah, we definitely get but also like the parents are just kind of very ditzy about things. They're not even keeping their eyes on the kids, because the kids can just like kind of talk in private and then leave and like the parents aren't noticing anything. It's just kind of dumb on the parents' part.
And something else I love that happened is we get Victor having some fun with Nancy with the Barb callbacks.
Yeah, that was really interesting, where they're all trying to they find that cool thing in I think Nancy's room, and then they're trying to crawl through the hole, or it was actually in the RV of that or trailer home that Eddie stayed in, and they're trying to crawl through the with the rope, and then like a bed sheet, and then all of a sudden Nancy goes possessed,
and
that's kind of crazy.
And that is the end of this episode.
That was, it was the crazy cliffhanger ending there.
Yep. And
then we get to chapter 8, which is Papa. This is,
and we get it starts off with more of the Nancy stuff, but we also get, in my opinion, one of the better scenes in Russia.
One of the better what?
Scenes in Russia.
Oh yeah.
Where Nancy, where I believe this is the part where now Joyce, Murray, and Hopper are now together. And Hopper finds out, oh shit, they had a funeral for me, I'm a hero back in Hawkins, and that Elle actually misses her father and everything. And I'm like, this is genuinely a sweet moment for Hopper.
And we find out that a lot of people, that the whole town showed up for his funeral. Also, we actually get a Hopper and Joyce kiss, which is nice too.
Yes, and also in Russia, we found out that I believe they're cloning Demogorgons or something.
Yeah, that's why there's so many. Because they're cloning them.
So I actually found that Russia segment to be like an okay. This is actually not a bad Russia segment.
That part of the Russia plot line wasn't that bad because it was actually advancing the plot further. Which is, about the Demogorgons and such. But everything else involving Russia was just ugh, okay. Yeah.
And then in this episode is where we get the infamous chat in the car between Mike and Will.
Yeah.
Where he basically shoots Will down for now. And then we found out that Eleven about 11 and all of her friends being in danger. And this is where Papa kind of is a little bit of a freak out. And he shows his more evil side.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
He does. But he also does show his sentimental side
Yeah.
at the very end of this episode. Because, like I said, at the very end, he literally takes a bullet for
Yes.
for 11, which is really sad and emotional. Also, I just have to say this before we do our theories video soon, but like, is Dr. Owens gonna come back in this show? Because he literally in this episode, he is arrested by that like military guy, and then we never even see him again in the rest of the finale or anything, or in the rest of the episode and such. We don't see him again after his confrontation with him. Are we ever going to get Dr. Owens back in this, or are they just going to like drop that?
I think they may drop it.
That's just going to be so weird. I'm just going to be like, I don't like. Why would you just leave that story unfinished? I just feel it's very strange to me.
And then we get one really suspicious scene where they're trying to, where the teenagers are trying to, where the kids and Eddie and everybody trying to get a car. Eddie just like with this huge ass mask.
I know, right?
And I'm like, oh, this isn't suspicious at all.
Yeah.
And then during the scene, we kind of see why Steve and Nancy would not work as a couple.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Steve wants certain things in his life that I don't think Nancy wants.
Yeah. No, I don't think that we get stuff that I don't think Nancy would be able to handle, but also I think that Nancy at the end of the day isn't really happy with either one. And I think you kind of get that from this season.
Yeah. And then we get the Yuri thing where he promises to fly him home, but it's by like little helicopter that's not even flown.
Yeah.
And then we get that cliche that I really don't like, where they're at the fireworks store, all the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And if we see that girl that Robin likes with somebody else.
Yeah. And then they, tried to set up that it wasn't actually. That felt very generic. It was just like, really? We've seen this countless times.
Then the basketball guy shows up again, and I'm like, where have you been the last few episodes?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then guess who actually does something helpful in this episode?
Oh.
Argyle.
I know. See, he seemed at first all like a muddids, like just a jokey dude or whatever, but then he actually like finds the tracks that are, that lead to where they need to go. And he's like, these are military tracks, my dudes. And then that's what makes him realize that that's what helps them figure out where they need to go. So.
And then right before we get to that epic showdown there, we see some bonding between getting ready before the Creel House thing. And what stands out to me here is sadly seeing the great bonding between Dustin and Eddie.
Yeah.
Which is so sad because we know what Eddie's fate.
Yeah, we do, which is really unfortunate. And we got that great Steve and Dustin kind of bromance in seasons 2 and 3, and then this season the bromance was Dustin and Eddie, and
yes,
that was just so
I'm hoping to see more of like listen, I loved Eddie and Dustin, but to me, the number one will always be Steve and Dustin.
Well, we do see the shot of an emotional Dustin hugging an emotional Steve. So, well, there is still some of that bonding that's happening in the trailer that looks really good. So I'm hoping we get more of that as well.
Yes. And then if we get the scene at the lab for the attack is going on, and 11 literally takes on a helicopter.
Yeah.
And
She does. That's probably the most badass 11 moment
yes,
we've ever had, because she's just like holding out her hand and the whole helicopter just falling in front of her like that. It was like so cool as the things in the helicopter in slow motion. It was just so badass.
yes, and then if we see Papa take a bullet for her,
Yeah.
and her reuniting with Mike and all of those guys, ready to go back to Hawkins to save the day. And that brings us to the end of episode 8.
And then we move on to chapter 9, the piggyback, which we all know as a fun game where someone sits on your shoulders and you have to carry them over your shoulders. But in this case, it is Elle being in a pizza dough freezer to try to piggyback into the Upside Down and find Max and
Yes,
that whole
and
situation, that whole plan there
can
that they have set.
can I please talk? Can we please talk about how I'd like to do this episode, because so much stuff happens in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Then if we talked about 11, can we talk a minute or two about some of the other 11 stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So basically, she goes inside the head of Max, and she is inside the head of Max, and she is trying to get the info, and she's trying to help fight Vecna and warn off Vecna, and she even gets brought into the upside to basically the world. She gets captured even for a little bit, I think, and Vecna is doing his great evil speech, and even saying that he wanted 11 even by his side.
Yeah.
For a time.
And then,
but of course, 11 being the badass she is, manages to escape with Max, and the Max stuff is great in this episode too, like where she's with Lucas and everything.
Oh
and
yeah,
they're having
sure.
a sweet moment with the pictures.
And I loved the conversation that they were having in the car, where on the road up to their plan, where she's talking about the happiest time
Yes.
of her life that she had, and then we find out that the happiest time of her life was at the snowball, which was really precious. Yeah.
That was episode 7.
The discussion was episode 7, but the actual reveal of what the happiest moment of her life was episode 8. So
8, and this is not nice. So this is scene where they're around surrounded by the lights, and they're trying to communicate, and Max even tricked Lucas starts acting funny around her, and I'm like, the minute he starts acting funny, I'm like, it's Vecna. I knew it.
Yep.
I knew it right from the get-go. And despite all the stuff that 11 did, Mac was still put into a coma.
Which is kind of an issue of mine, because I feel like even though we have that emotional, awesome badass death scene with Eddie, I still feel like this is just a cop out. Like all you do is introduce new characters and then just kill off new characters. Like it's like Game of Thrones, guess what? They will introduce a new character that season, kill off the new character, but then they'll also kill off a season regular or a series regular. And I just feel like if you're introducing this big bad of the Upside Down who's supposed to be this big supernatural threat, then why not kill any of the people? And I thought by killing Max, I was like, okay, this isn't a season 1 character, but this is a major character. I'm feeling emotional by this. Wow, this is really a gut punch of a death scene. Oh my god. And then they're like, oh, cop out. She's just in a coma. It's like, really? Like, okay.
And yes, I get that, but we also get that tent scene with that basketball guy showing up.
Yeah. That's just,
and that was really intense. I'm going to say that was super intense.
yeah. Which by the way, I've also heard that Vecna, there's theories because of D&D people that in one of the episodes prior in this season, when Will is talking to Mike about being the heart, you see that portrait of the warriors fighting this like 3-headed dragon or whatever, and apparently the highest ranked villain in all of D&D is actually a 3-headed dragon. So people were thinking that maybe there's going to be another D&D villain that appears in the final season as the actual big bad, like above Vecna even. So it's like, that would be interesting. We'll see.
That would be interesting. But let's talk about the Dustin and Eddie stuff. That rock show part.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. The imagery that was going on with it too. Perfect. Everything was so good about that scene.
And then playing Enter Sandman from Metallica, which is so good.
And the fact that Eddie died because he didn't want to gimp out or go back.
Yeah. That was so emotional because he's always felt so upset in that moment. He felt all the torment of the times that he's just left to run away from a fight, and it's just like, oh no, Eddie, no, don't stay behind this time. And I do hope. I loved Eddie so much. I hope that the rumors are true. There are rumors, nothing is confirmed, so I'm not spoiling anything, but there are rumors that we might get Eddie Munson flashback in season 5. So we'll get more Eddie Munson, but in the form of flashbacks.
I would love that. But yes. But if we have Robin, Steve, Nancy, in this episode, they're not as.
And also, I guess I do want to add to the Steve death real quick. I feel so sorry for Dustin because Dustin, while he's always the smart one coming up with all the plans and such, he's never really gotten to experience any emotional death that in this show that has really hit him hard. We've seen Joyce experience Bob, which was extremely hard. We've seen Harper go through what he went through with his daughter. We've seen Nancy go through what she went through with Barb. We saw all these other characters.
This whole season is about Max dealing with grief.
Yeah, Max and her grief, dealing with her brother Billy. But we've never seen that for Dustin. Dustin's always just been like that sweetheart of a character that it's like, oh, nothing could ever get him down. He's always so bubbly and happy and excited. and then you just see how depressed he becomes after his one of his best friends, and it's just like so heartbreaking to see that.
Just that, and then we do flee, and I do want to just go back to the last most important part of this episode, the end of the Russia plot line. Which
Oh yeah,
I will say, I did like the banter between Joyce and Hopper more than their constant bickering in season 3.
oh yeah,
Like season 3 felt very like sitcom-y almost.
yeah, it did. I was still my least favorite season, but yeah.
And
And then I loved the final fight in this episode where we get, you know, Eleven reconfronting Victor Creel and aka One, aka Vecna, and we get a epic showdown between the two of them at the ballroom. And then I loved when she's in the piggyback freezer and she thinks that she lost, and you see Max and she's about to die. I thought it was pretty cool that, you know, he is listening to what Will told him in the car, saying, "You are the heart, be the heart." And so then he's like, he is doing that. He's being the heart, and he's saying like, he's telling her like, "I do love you. I love you. You need to fight." And then she has this like that badass moment where she just pushes him out, and then as she pushes him out, you see Nancy and that whole crew coming up to him and burning him, as you see Hopper cutting the head off of a Demogorgon and everything at the same time, and then Murray burning alive a bunch of Demogorgons. So it's really fun.
I love that. I love that. Then we get to an issue that I had, because at the end of this, you would think this is the end of the episode. There's like 30 minutes left.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Way too long for an episode of television. The finale of season 5, it's still too long, but they've at least learned their lesson. And the finale is an hour and 50 minutes for the new season. And I'm just like, yeah.
And I can give that more respect for one thing.
What?
This is the end.
Yeah.
They have to tie everything up. So
Yeah.
it's not like if we just need to move the chess pieces to like where they need to be next season. No, this is the end.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is not the end. This was just to set up the end coming later on. It's just like, okay.
Yes. But I do love the idea that Eddie is Eddie's like grandfather or uncle or something talking to Dustin.
That was very emotional, seeing Dustin kind of tell him that he died a hero, and that also the news is sharing that an earthquake hit Hawkins, even though we know what it was, that all of the stuff opened up to make Hawkins basically a upside down zone for all things upside down now. So it's but yeah, it's just like, so now Hawkins as a town is being affected, but the news says it's an earthquake, and Dustin said he died in the earthquake, and it was really emotional. Which I will say, I understand why to a degree, but also at the same time, like, I think if you see some red stuff breaking through the ground, that would be a good time to say, you know, we need to confess something. There's an alien world out there, and yada yada yada. I feel like, you know, that would have been a good time for the kids to actually confess the truth.
Yes, and I do love the reunion between Eleven and Hopper.
For sure.
That
I loved that reunion scene, especially when like the dialogue that they exchanged together, where he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I stole your look, kid. That was really sweet.
Yes, and then last shot, everybody looking off in the distance to a Hawkins being destroyed.
Yeah, and that red cloud showing that, you know, Vecna and the Upside Down, that's the same exact red cloud that we saw when the Mind Flare was taken over. So now it's all about to take over Hawkins at by itself. So that means that now those kids are not going to look delusional anymore, because none of the other people who share this aren't going to look delusional anymore, because all of this is about to actually hit the town, which is crazy.
Yes. So that was season 4. Despite its flaws, it is still my second favorite season because of how epic it felt, and just like how far they went with everything. I loved that.
Yeah, it is. Despite its flaws, it is my third favorite season. I still like seasons 2 and 1 better, but I think that season 4 is still a step up from season 3. I think that season 3 to me was a little bit of a downer, and then you get to this season, and they just at least had 2 incredible episodes with the Massacre at Hawkins Lab and the Dear Billy episode. So
this is my second favorite season.
Yeah.
Not being beaten by season 3, which season 3 is gonna be a very hard season to beat for me.
Yeah. We'll have to see what season 5 does for sure.
Yes.
But I cannot wait for season 5, guys. This is not the end of talking about Stranger Things leading up to season 5, guys, because we are about to film right now for you guys and then upload it on that Wednesday morning so you guys can check it out. Our theories video where we're going to break down all of our predictions on who we think would die, who we think could return, all this type of fun stuff for season 5 of Stranger Things and how we think it could all end and everything. So definitely come check that out whenever that's uploaded on the channel, guys. And of course, we will also be coming back here and reviewing all 4 episodes of Volume 1 for Stranger Things whenever the chance to review that for you guys on the channel. So if y'all are a big fan of Stranger Things and y'all want all things Stranger Things coverage, check it out right here on Here's the Thing, guys. Thank you for joining, Andrew. This is a lot of fun. This video with you tonight.
I've loved the show and I cannot wait. I'm a little bit sad. I'm a little bit bittersweet about season 5. Like, I'm excited for it, but I'm also like, shit, it's over.
I know. It always bittersweet whenever that happens, whenever our favorite shows or movies come to an end. But yeah, guys, this is it. This is the end of the series. But we will let you know what we think, guys. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any more of the Stranger Things content. Until then, we will see y'all in the Upside Down. And stay classy, my friends.